Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, a look at the troubles facing DES Director Tim Jeffries. Also tonight, hear about an exhibit that showcases the history of political ads. And we'll learn about a new device that tells time and direction by touch. Those stories next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. Hillary Clinton's appearance in the Valley this week has been confirmed. The Democratic candidate for president will speak Wednesday evening at a rally on the ASU campus in Tempe. Doors are scheduled to open at the Student Fitness Complex at 3:30, with the rally to begin at 6:30. Clinton's running mate Tim Kaine will speak in Phoenix and Tucson on Thursday. Questions regarding Department of Economic Security Director Tim Jeffries are on the increase. This after Governor Ducey removed Jeffries' ability to fire DES employees and installed a monitor to take over those duties. Joining us now is Craig Harris, who's been covering this story for the Arizona Republic. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Let's get to the basics here. Who is Tim Jeffries?
Tim Jeffries is a director of the Department of Economic Security. Is one of the biggest agencies in the state. He's got about 7,500 employees. That agency is responsible for everything from food stamps to disability services. They basically take care of the most vulnerable Arizonans. He made some headlines right when he got appointed back in March of last year by coming out and saying he was going to fire bullies and bad folks at DES. Tried to clean house. That got some pretty good publicity, and then from there he just kind of kept firing more and more people. He's also come under controversy for sending out very religious emails. He also sent out, I believe, an anti-marijuana email. So he is a little bit of a controversial person there.
Controversial and apparently a friend of the governor's with no really government management experience at all.
No, he comes from the private sector. He's also a donor to the governor. He gave the governor at least $1,500 for his campaign, relatively close to Governor Ducey, and was allowed to run a social services agency with really no background in that sector.
And some of these previous problems or situations, I should say, that you talked about, we've talked about on the show. We've had him on the show to ask him about this. But lately now, your last story here is that he apparently created a do not hire list. Explain what's going on.
Well, employees have told me, at least 4 have told me, that he created a list of kind of what you might call an enemies list of employees who he'd fired at DES and went out of his way to make sure they couldn't get other state jobs. Now, he denies that list ever existed, but 4 people on the record have said, including a former assistant director, said he did create that list after he had fired hundreds of employees at DES and tried to block them from getting other state jobs.
How would he try to block them?
Well, I think if you get hired or you interview for another state employment, they will call over and you can maybe say something like, well, this person, Sally did this or Johnny did that, and it'd be pretty easy to prevent them. Anecdotally, I've had 3-4 people say, yeah, I've applied for dozens of state jobs and I was qualified. I knocked the interview out of the park, but I never got hired.
Interesting. Now, is this... basically, I could be doing the same. Don't hire this person. Is it against the law to have a do not hire list if you're an agency manager?
Well, that's questionable. The state does have a do not hire list if you do something incredibly egregious. If I was working for the state parks department and I burned down a couple buildings, I would get on the do not hire list for being of egregious behavior. The question is, though, if you just fire someone because you don't like them or you don't like the tie they wore, they probably shouldn't be on a list like that.
Well, let's get to this now. 475 workers dismissed at DES since the start of last year. Many of these things were without cause, and you write that at least half of these folks were deserving of merit increases, correct?
Absolutely. We got records from DES that showed that, half of the people who were fired received merit bonuses, which means they had to have either met or exceeded expectations, and quite a few of these folks exceeded expectations. So they got their bonuses in the $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 range, and a good number of employees that just this year got the maximum of a $1,000 bonus because they knocked it out of the park on their review, yet they were fired without cause.
So why fired without cause, and basically now because of this new law, managers can do this.
In Arizona, the 2012 personnel law that Governor Brewer pushed through, which was intended to make the government act more like a business, you could hire and fire people at will. It was supposed to reward the best and the brightest, give them raises, keep them on, get good workers in the state. But what it also did is it made almost the entire workforce at will. So boom, you can be fired in a moment's notice.
Now, this monitor comes in because the governor gets wind of this and says, uh-oh, and so we're not going to let Jeffries fire any more people unless a monitor, period, I guess. I mean, the monitor is really the only one who can fire now, correct?
Right. The governor has taken a person from the Department of Administration, has taken the number 2 HR director in the state and put her at the Department of Economic Security, and she's in charge. So the governor has eventually stripped Tim Jeffries of the ability to function a major purpose of his job because of all of the firings that he has done.
But Tim Jeffries says it was his idea to bring in a monitor.
That's what he told us, and he told us that on camera. He told us that on a tape recorder. But the fact of the matter is the governor's office said, no, we're the one putting a person in there. And so Mr. Jeffries didn't quite tell us
the truth.
The truth, yes.
Basically, if your paper's been writing it, the guy was lying. If someone's not telling the truth here, either the governor's office or Tim Jeffries.
One of them. Yeah. So they're both telling different stories, and the governor's office is saying, no, we're putting the monitor over there, and we're taking away your position. And now, since that came out, they've backtracked a little bit. Jeffries and Diaz has backtracked a little bit and said, okay, yeah, well, the governor did put someone here. And so, but initially, he said he did it when the governor's office said, no, we have stripped you of that power.
Yeah, it just seems like it's tumbling downhill for this guy. It's the landslide, the avalanche is growing. Is there any word out there that he's basically toast?
The governor today said that he's still there. He's his man.
How can he be his man if he can't even fire anyone?
You know, I just report. I just cover the news, and so I'm not sure. You know, the governor has entrusted him. Mr. Jeffries makes almost well over $250,000 to run that agency, and the governor has put him there. They're friends. He's made political campaign contributions to the governor, and he's kept him there. What's interesting is the governor was not so forgiving when it came to another agency head at the Department of Juvenile Corrections. He fired Donna Markley quickly after she did a lot of the same things. She fired people on questionable causes. The governor reinstated 7 employees at the Department of Juvenile Corrections, including a woman fighting breast cancer, and then forced out the agency director.
And the governor is saying now that the people that were let go at DES can refile or to get their jobs back?
Right. They have set up basically a hotline, and the number for that is 602-542-5482. And so there's no guarantee they'll get their job back, but they can make their case. And so that the line opened today. They got well over 70 calls just in one day.
Wow.
A lot of folks were put on answering machine because they didn't have enough folks to answer the phones. And so people are calling in and trying to plead to get their jobs back.
All right. Great work here. Good to have you here. Good information. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Artists Anthony Montadas and Marshall Reese are compiling a history of presidential campaign TV ads, tracking the evolution of political advertising from 1952 to the present.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
and young enough to do.
Well, it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you. Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair? We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy and the change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 6, 8, 9,
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. These are the stakes to make a world in which all of God's children can live, or to go into the dark. We must either love each other or we must die.
Vote for President Johnson on November 3rd. The stakes are too high for you to stay home.
Bush and Dukakis on crime. Bush supports the death penalty for first-degree murderers. Dukakis not only opposes the death penalty, he allowed first-degree murderers to have weekend passes from prison. One was Willie Horton, who murdered a boy in a robbery, stabbing him 19 times. Despite a life sentence, Horton received 10 weekend passes from prison. Horton fled, kidnapped a young couple, stabbing the man and repeatedly raping his girlfriend. Weekend prison passes. Dukakis on crime.
为什么强大的国家都会走向灭亡呢？古希腊、罗马帝国、不列颠帝国、美国，因为他们都犯同样的错误，与原来使得他们成功的原则背道而驰。美国政府企图以庞大的开支和税收来摆脱严重的经济衰退，巨额的所谓刺激开支。 庞大的医疗改革，政府接管私有企业，债务累累。当然，我们是他们的大债主。现在他们都得给我们干活。
America can determine our own future, but only if we own it. For American independence, we must cut spending and waste.
Our two artists will present their collection tomorrow at the ASU Art Museum. Here now are Anthony Montadas and Marshall Reese. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Art exhibit of political advertising. How'd this all get started?
Well, I think all started in 1984. I was teaching at MIT, and I met at Diamond, a specialist on political ads, into his book Spots. And I have access to archive the tapes, and I found that it was fascinating material from the 50s and 60s. And that originated the idea then to do a compilation of the real, in instance to criticize or analyze, to really view the material.
I was going to say, when you watch these things, they're well done. I mean, this is top-notch video here.
Well, I mean, it's, you know, Rosser Reeves, who is the father of the hard sell advertising, Alka-Seltzer ads, was the one who started it all with his advice to President Eisenhower on how to campaign. And, you know, they have the best minds of the advertising industry working on this, so they should be good.
So as an exhibit, do you just basically present without comment? Is there a book that goes with this? What do you want folks to get out of this?
It's showing chronologically from the 50s, every 4 years. And in a way, that's evolution. It's been seen clearly in terms of how the image are changing and the different techniques, from photography to camera to really cinema verite. All the techniques of cinema you could see through the last special effects, things like that. In a way, the it's important to see chronological evolution. You have an idea of the change of politics and the change of the image making.
And you have a change. I mean, some of these things are negative. Sometimes they go soft sell. Sometimes they appeal directly to the emotion. I mean, they just go all over the map, don't they?
Yeah, well, maybe you want to answer that.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an incredible history. Not, in terms of how television's changed, how people use images, how they persuade people. And I think that the way we present it, there's an openness. And I think it allows people to look at our history in a different way.
But it's been increasingly the negative.
Yes.
This is something that appears the last 20 years. And really, it's been reinforced. And now I think it's very hard to see positive ads.
Yeah. In terms of aesthetics, the art of the whole thing, what do you see? What do you see in there, and what fascinates you?
Well, I think of the result of the ads is the result of a chain of people, from art directors, agency, and the final edit, and all that. There are people that are really dealing with image in a way that to say in 30 seconds what they need to say. They need to be very, very, very synthetic and very, very articulated to the image process. Like that, I think in a way we could see that all these people are people that have background of communications schools or art schools.
Yes. And as far as an effective political ad, the most effective is the one that changes people's mind or reinforces the opinion of those who support that candidate. Can you tell an effective ad when you look in the past? Can you tell the ones that worked and the ones that weren't so hot?
Well, I think, yes, with hindsight, for sure. I mean, I think that, the Daisy ad that you showed was only shown once, and it had tremendous impact. I mean, it was, it was figuring or representing Goldwater, somebody that was unpredictable, that couldn't be trusted. He threatened to start a nuclear war in Southeast Asia. So, and it really brought the fear of that present.
Last question. You seeing anything in this campaign that rises to the level of some of the stuff we've seen in the past?
Well, it's interesting that a lot of quotations and citations of previous, like that the ad of Good Morning America was retaken from the Reagan, and it's a lot of history already that one is replicated or already referenced to the previous. Like that, I would say it's not the more creative campaign.
So the creativity is kind of getting a little lost, huh?
Well, I think they're looking more for the effectivity of to get the.
You agree with that?
By and large, I mean, yes, I agree. I mean, I think there's a lot of negative ads. I think that that the idea is to really say the worst thing about the opponent.
All right. Good to have you both here. Very interesting stuff. Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Tonight's edition of Arizona Technology and Innovation looks at a locally produced device that tells time and direction and gives other information by way of touch. The device is called Moment, and here to give us the details is Shantanu Bala of Somatic Labs here in town. Welcome to Arizona Horizon.
Thank you very much.
What is Moment?
Moment is a device that's designed to augment your perception and improve your sense of time and your sense of direction.
And how does it do this?
So it does this by conveying information entirely through your sense of touch. So our typical interactions with technology involve us listening to our phones or putting in headphones or trying to watch a screen. And when we were thinking about the shift of technology, how it's moving towards more and more devices that we wear and put on our bodies, we asked the question, what is it that the human body does best? And we realized that the body feels. It's constantly feeling information about the room around you. It's feeling the texture of your clothes on your skin. And we were thinking, how can we take that constant stream of information that's coming to your brain and kind of tap into it and make it so that we can take things from the digital world and put it to your skin. And that's what we did.
So you're wearing the Moment right now, and in order, correct me if I'm wrong, but to tell time, there are basically like pressure points around the square there. How does this work?
Yeah, so there's 4 motors on the corners of the device, and each of them is turned on and off in a really rapid sequence. It happens anywhere between 5 to 10 milliseconds, so it's a really, really quick pulse, and we can create these pulses in rapid succession to create the sensation that something is moving on your skin. So it feels almost like someone is drawing a shape on your skin with their finger.
Hold your arm up like this a little bit so the camera can get that. So basically, if it's like 2:15 or something like that, you'll sense sensations in certain parts of the watch, and then your mind will eventually say it's 2:15 without having to look at the watch.
Exactly, and it goes even a step further than that, where if you're trying to exercise and hit a specific time and you're running or you want to keep a specific pace, you can actually get a much more intuitive understanding of exactly how quickly you're moving just by the sequence of pulses.
I got you, yeah.
Your brain starts to just learn the passage of time using this as an objective reference point.
But it also the sensations on that square will tell you the direction you're facing.
Yeah, so there's a compass that's built into it, so you can always have the direction of true north. So if you're going hiking or you're wanting to navigate, it improves your sense of direction. And this is something that's been documented in a lot of research as well, where if you provide a vibration that points to north, people have to look at maps less. They have to they have a lot more ease navigating around them.
That's fascinating. And also the idea of, this is going to be hard for me to believe, but you can do caller ID by way of just the sensation of what's going on with your wrist here?
Yeah, so what happens is whenever you're receiving a phone call, we take everyone who's in your address book and automatically generate just a unique sensation for them. So everyone who calls you feels a little bit different. And over time, you simply just have this intuitive understanding of what it feels like when it's your parents calling, or what it feels like when it's a friend of yours who's calling.
Now, does it like if I got a crazy uncle calling, can I make the thing go act crazy, or does it do it by name? Does it do it by frequency of caller?
So it does it automatically based on the phone number, but you can also go in and customize it and change it so that, if you do want a heart shape, for example, for a significant other, you can have that as a sensation that you feel whenever they're calling or messaging.
How'd you come up with this?
Yeah, so it started off when I was working on research at Arizona State University. I graduated from ASU about 2 years ago, and while I was there, I was working at a lab developing technologies for people who are blind or visually impaired, taking information from a video feed and turning it entirely into touch. And I thought about ways that we could take this type of technology and bring it into our daily lives and see how we could just make all of our interactions with technology a little more fluid.
And kind of took it from there, huh?
Yeah.
Now, is this available, or it's going to be available? Is it available now?
It's available for pre-order right now, and we're in the process of manufacturing the units. So we're going to be delivering it to our customers in March.
And what kind of price point are we talking?
Yeah, so it's $179 retail, and we're working on kind of adding improvements and enhancements all the time.
I was going to say, is this the kind of thing where upgrades could be possible throughout time? I mean,
definitely. So we're rolling out software updates. So the app that you download on your phone is constantly getting smarter.
So, and last question, these tactile patterns for everything from time, direction to caller ID, how many different patterns are there?
Yeah, so the number is near infinite just because of the how quickly those patterns are changing. So we can make a lot of really detailed sensations.
Well, congratulations on this, and good luck for coming out of ASU, coming out of a local product there. I hope it goes very well. Thanks for joining us. We do appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
And Tuesday on Arizona Horizon, Phoenix Mayor Greg Stanton will join us to talk about improvements at Sky Harbor and other city issues, and we'll get an update on the Affordable Care Act, which is seeing fewer providers and higher prices in Arizona. That's tomorrow, 5:30 and 10, right here on Arizona Horizon. That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.